Hello, this is Jen.
And this is Brittany. And we're the Village Homeschoolers. Today we're going to talk about going back to homeschool. All right, guys, welcome to the Village. It is the end of summer here in New England, and we're going to talk about going back to homeschool. So, Jen, are you ready to go back to homeschooling your child?
I know, and it's like in 2 weeks.
Are you starting in 2 weeks?
I don't know, because I was going to, but then I was like, I have so much stuff to do that week that...
I know. Same stuff I have to do as well, but I don't have a choice, because if I go any later, I think we're going to be homeschooling on Christmas Day. And
Christmas Day?
Well, so I don't like to do a lot of schoolwork in December.
Oh.
Yeah. And so last year, I started early August, and I did no schoolwork in the month of December with my kids, other than like holiday books and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
That's not going to work this year, because I should have started 3 weeks ago. Part of the reason I kind of
I was still homeschooling like 3 weeks ago, because we were running late, because we took too many vacations this year.
Well, so that's part of my issue, is I really try to be done by recital season, which is the end of June for us. I cannot be doing schoolwork with my children those weeks.
Yeah.
Because my kids dance. So I'm going to be cutting it close. But I'm going on a trip. So I can't start next week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But part of the big thing about back to homeschool is it's not just back to your own homeschool. It's back to like co-op.
Activities,
homeschool groups. It's like everyone's filled with this energy. Like, I'm going to do all the things. We were talking about people on our waiting list, and like, we're getting a lot now. We're getting a lot of people. It's like when our brains flip on in August, maybe July, if you live in a different part of the country where you guys start school a lot earlier than we do up here. But your brains flip on, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the wait list waiting. They're trying to figure out what their school year is going to look like.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
We're trying to accommodate you people.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Although we have had people now, because some people are like getting ahead of the game, like, oh, we're sorry, we have other things happening on Fridays.
Yeah, because it's like kind of late in the season, so people already know what they're doing.
Right, yeah. So we're going to talk today really briefly about just how we get back into the gear as parents of homeschoolers and as leaders of a large homeschool group. What are we doing? And I feel like I'm going to harp on it as I always do. The first thing you got to do is get back to frequent communication.
Yeah, all the stinking emails.
Well, and as of right now, and I know all of you are not reading the emails that are listening to this, no one's reading our darn emails.
There's going to be a quiz.
Yeah. Actually, there might. We've legit talked about it. Because I was like, guys, like, no one's reading. Because it's like July 5th, 6th. And you're like, why? Why would I do this? It's gloriously hot. And I'm just going to have, a smoothie and sit outside. And you're like, well, yeah. So people are not reading emails. And I think it's important to communicate quickly and easily and frequently and get people back in the habit of being like, oh, on Friday, I need to bring notebooks. Oh, on Friday, we need to pack lunches.
Yeah.
Oh, on Friday, I need to pack a smock. The infamous story is we went back to co-op after a break, and a friend of ours, who's now actually one of the leaders in the co-op, she was teaching a writing class. And the one thing kids had to bring was a notebook of their choice. And so she was emailing, and I was emailing, and everybody was reminded ad nauseum to bring a notebook. And my kid was the only one that had a notebook in class, because I was writing the emails.
Yeah, so you knew she had to have them.
Right. And the rest of them didn't. Not because those parents are like negligent or anti-notebook.
Maybe some of them were.
Maybe. But they were just like, oh, I didn't read the emails because it was over a break and my brain was not there. So it's important to get people back to the regular emailing of things. And then back to like some kind of procedural organization. Like, we start at this time. That's hard for some of us.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to somebody on the wait list. She's like, so classes start at 10, so I had to be there at 10. I was like, well, no, you need to be there a little bit early. And she's like, that That might be too much of a commitment.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard. It's really hard because like summer, you can wake up when you want to wake up, or, we can, like, we just had a beach day yesterday for our co-op, and people showed up over a 2-hour window, which is fine because all we're doing is hanging out at the beach.
Yeah.
That's not going to work in the fall, though, when your class starts at 10. It's like, okay, Spanish and music and art and all that starts at 10 and ends at 11 when we then have lunch. So,
which is funny because we actually have to accommodate certain teachers because we're like, we know this person's going to really struggle to get there at 9:30 to set up. So we're going to do an afternoon class.
They teach only in the afternoon. Yeah. No, it's true. So it's I think it's like this getting back into like following some kind of structure, which homeschoolers aren't good at anyway.
Yeah.
But here we are. And then back to just consistency. Like every Friday in our co-op, there will be something.
Yeah.
Just know it. Block it off.
I'll be honest, I'm a little not looking forward to it. And it's like, I love co-op,
really?
But it's, I don't want to do anything.
See, when I send out the emails, I'm talking to people like Jen. Yeah.
I read them though.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Somebody does. But because it's like, here we go. It's going to be for the long haul.
And we work our butts off at co-op on Friday, so it's tiring.
And it's like, so we have a rule in our co-op that on Tuesdays, if teachers need something from us, they need something to something printed out, they need their room set up in a certain way with certain tables, certain art supplies bought for them on that day, they have to tell us by Tuesday most of the time of the week that so we can have it ready by Friday. And getting them back in the habit of doing that, and then getting myself back in the habit of like, remind them Monday night to send you everything on Tuesday. Oh, it's like literally impossible. And these are like amazing, wonderful, fully functioning adults
that we're good friends with.
Yeah. And it's still like none of us are, including me, who is trying to remind them, none of us are good at it. Because it's like coming off the slump of, well, do I want to wake up now or do I want to wake up in an hour? That was me this morning. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the other thing is you kind of this is where it gets emotional for me. You have to figure out who's who and who's doing what and what ages kids are turning and who's staying in co-op. That's another thing that we play the game with every year. Like, who's moving?
Yeah. I mean, we do not have a high turnover rate. People tend to get in and stay in forever. But when they do leave, there's usually huge families. So
right. And it's like, what ages are those families? Because then we're going to be able to let somebody else in, but they have to kind of fit the age range.
Yeah, the person that just left. So.
Right. And it's like people do move. People put their kids back in public school. In this economy, we've had a few families who they've had to make the choice to send the second parent to work. And the kids are going to a private school or maybe staying homeschooled, but they're going to be with grandmas on the day that we have co-op. And so parents are making choices, and we kind of have to. It's hard because we have to kind of nail down, like, are you in or you're out? Yeah. You don't want to say that to your friends.
Yeah. So there was a couple people that were like, they were flip flopping about what they wanted to do, and just kind of had to be like, all right, so we need to know now.
Right. Yeah. And then it's like always the fear. In fact, I have like, well, can I come back? We've had people like that. And it's like, okay, well, once you've made a decision, maybe it depends on where we are. But like now we're almost done registering for fall. We've let new families in to take the spots of the few families that are moving or have gone back to public school.
So we can't kick them out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a lot. So you have to kind of keep the communication lines open and figure out what are people doing. And when you're tracking down that many people, it's a chore. Mm-hmm. It's a real chore. So, but you have to do it before you kind of even get into the exciting part. So then once you have gone and done that, once you've done the whole, okay, are we all talking again frequently? Do we understand the schedule that we're all going to follow or consistently attending things, and we know who is doing it, who's going to stay in our co-op? Then we work on growth and community outreach, which is going to new people, which is Jen's expertise.
I kind of sounded angry in the last podcast talking about the wait list, but most of the people... Not most of the people. Some of the people are lovely. Yeah. And then some of the people really don't ever communicate back with me, so I don't know if they're lovely or not.
Right. And it's like we're extending an invitation, and we know we're asking a lot of new people, because now it's like, okay, it is August. We are ready to start this year. We know who is gone. We know how old, what ages we can bring in, what size families we can bring in, you know, all that stuff. We invite people in, and like we're asking them
to commit to once a week.
Once a week at least. Whole new friendships, coming into an established group.
You have to clean things.
Yeah, committing themselves to some kind of volunteer requirement. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's a numbers game. And so you also don't want to be like, I think we're constantly walking the line of, we really want to help people and include people who need us, who need the community. We hear a lot like, I need a community so I can keep doing this, so my kids have a successful homeschool, so I don't feel isolated, so I don't feel alone.
Yeah.
While we also have to be like, we're really, really sorry. We don't have space. Like, we need to offer space to people who have waited longer.
Yeah.
Or who have kids who fit the age range that we have vacancies for.
And it seems really unfair, but sometimes we just don't have room for certain ages.
Right.
And you might be on the waiting list for 2 years and not get in because your kids just happen to fall into that group.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because somebody with just a 13-year-old is guaranteed to get in.
Right, because we have plenty of space for older kids.
We just do not have space for little kids, and we do not have room to make.
It's really the 5-year-old, man, right at that age.
4 to 6 is really stuffed.
Right.
That's where the belly is of
well,
our
and
co-op.
part of it also happens because, like, okay, you come into our co-op and then, we're going to have another baby, and we have another baby, and like, we can't kick them out because they had another baby. So then there's another child who comes into the rotation. Yeah. You know, there's always going to be an influx of small children.
Yeah.
And that's great. We love small children. They're the best, but it's hard to get in.
Well, and it's interesting on the waiting list because some people don't put their children,
their ages,
yes, it's interesting. One lady didn't put her kid's age on the wait list, so I was like, do I have to put all this extra effort into tracking you down and finding ages? And then somebody else had children that she didn't list, and then was like, oh, I have this kid. And I was like, okay, that's not a problem. And then she wrote me back. She's like, oh, and this kid. And I was like, you had 2 extra undeclared children.
Yeah. And
it's like, that makes things really hard for me because I am trying to fit as many people as possible into our co-op.
We even have like a fire code we have to deal with. Like, we are not close to overcoming the fire code because kids are in different classes and places. But like, we can't just like have unaccounted for people. We have to make sure we're not breaking the law.
That was a consideration in our last place. We had a much smaller building, and we literally could not let any more kids in because there was like a big sign like max capacity 86 kids, and we're like literally we cannot have any more.
Yeah, like, and it was a literal thing. So this is always kind of, as you're going back into the homeschool year, it's like, how, especially if you're an inclusive organization, it's so hard. How can we include as many people as possible without overburdening ourselves?
Yeah, and then like some people will be like, well, my kid can't take that class. And like, oh, there's only an opening in this class.
Right.
And so it's tough. Like, I'm trying real hard to get everybody in, but
we're almost done. But it's the thing. The other thing that happens, I think, is, and this is definitely an emotional thing, and it's my pet peeve. Jen's laughing because she knows I get real worked up about this, is you spend a year with people and you get close to them and you feel you trust with them, and you're like, in the case of some of us, we've spent 5 years with these people, right? So it's like, I'm very comfortable with you watching my kids, disciplining my kids, telling my kids no, telling my kids yes, hugging my kids, joking with my co-parent, you know, like if I have to send my co-parent instead of myself, you know, that kind of thing. Like, we're all very comfortable with that. And then twice a year, we're letting in new people. And it is human nature, I think, for some of us, not me, not you.
I'll try not. I purposely go out of my way to.
But I think some of us to be like, oh,
it's a new person.
It's a new person. And so twice a year at this time, when we're going back to homeschool co-op, I notice the chitter chatter of, oh, how many new people are we going to let in?
I didn't even get to meet the people from last time yet.
How many new people make me anxious?
Yeah.
And I think that's normal.
Sure.
And I think it is something we have to keep ourselves in check.
Yes.
Because if we're building community, we have to allow new people in. We can't just continue to serve in this insular circle.
Yeah, it can't just be our friends group.
Right. And so like, which it stinks because we all want to feel safe but like, if we had not let new people in, none of us would be in this co-op.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, so this is a really important part of what we do. And people, I get it. Social anxiety is a thing. When you're comfortable, you're comfortable. If your kid comes in barefoot in a princess dress and fleece pajamas, I'm not worried about Jen judging me. She's seen my kids dress like that for 5 years.
Yeah.
But it's important to put that aside, and
because there are people that possibly need us.
There definitely are.
Yes.
Yeah. And we, the whole point of this podcast is that we think community makes you a better homeschooler. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the village, it's going to be a problem. And so I think that we have to remember that. And I actually, this wasn't in co-op, but I had somebody who was talking to me about putting their child in a new dance class because our kids dance. And she goes, well, maybe she'll make new friends. And I was like, because there wasn't going to be any other kids in the class she knew. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard, but it's kind of this thing of like, so I feel like we spend a lot of time as we're going back and like reminding our current members, like, new people are important.
You were new once too.
You were new once too.
Look, we let you in. And we love you.
Yeah, and we love you. And aren't we so glad that we're all in? And please, welcome them with open arms. Not saying you have to have this close, intimate relationship with anybody new that comes into your co-op, but at least be like, hey, how are you? Who are your kids? Introduce yourself. And yeah, let's play, let's all play nice because we're all going to be together at least once a week for a while. Mm-hmm. And it always works out well.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we get people on the same page, Jen? How do we do it? I don't know. I still...
Communication?
You've communicated though. Yeah. So I think it's important to figure out what those like bonding moments look like as you're all coming back together, new, old. And even though you may be returning to the same structure and the same location and the same thing, like there's going to be new things. There's new rules maybe. There's a bunch of stuff. So what do? Orientation. We actually don't do an orientation anymore. We do it virtually mostly. Like we like put up a bunch of virtual posts, and sometimes we'll post videos or pictures and do it that way. But a lot of groups do an orientation day. Like, let's walk you all around. Mm-hmm. Let's show you where it is. Let's show you all this stuff. That's a good way to do it. This isn't our idea, but you can do like a wellness fitness challenge, like for the family.
Yeah, we've thought about doing that for the fall. Because, like we love trendy things.
But like, how many days can your family walk or go outside?
How many miles can you do, right?
Yeah, make food from scratch, or like doing a point system and like recording how many points, and you can make it competitive if that's your jam.
Or you can just like post, hey, I'm going on a hike. You guys want to go with me?
Right.
So we all get the same amount of miles?
Right, exactly. Getting to know you, events or posts or things like that. Those are good too. Like, post your family. Tell us about yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Jen would rather die. I know, because you know what we all hate? We all hate sitting in the circle and like, they're like, okay, everybody tell us your name, your age, and what you had for breakfast this morning.
So glad we don't do that anymore. I hated it so much.
I know. We used to do it. We were smaller. We used to do it. And I'm going to be that annoying person. Studies show, and I'm not going to quote a study because I can't remember one, but I know that like most of the time for a lot of personalities and brains, then when you do that, most people just spend the entire time stressing out about what they're going to say, and they're not listening to what the other people are saying.
Well, yeah, because it's just like, hi, I'm Jen, I'm a Gemini. And,
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot. So, but we actually do it. We did it. I would not say super successfully, but we'll try it again this year, where I introduce everybody. I'm like,
the new families. Yeah,
there's the Smiths. They have blah, 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 and blah, 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 and they live in Smithtown, USA. Yeah. Tell us one thing about yourself. And so, yeah, we do that kind of thing. And we could do it virtually too. We could do it on our website. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll have people introduce themselves that way. But so you're not walking into a room full of strangers, or what happens at us is, who's that person over there? from people who are already there.
Even us sometimes are like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
Is that somebody's dad?
Yeah. And so we like...
And we do headshots, but like people always send the most flattering pictures. Yeah. So you're like, I don't know if this is the same person.
Except for me. I think I took like a headshot. I was like, oh, here we go. Hold it at my computer desk. Yeah. So like... Yeah, getting to know you on social media, fun back to school events. I know some co-ops do like a picture day. That's always a fun idea.
That's cute.
I've seen, and we do this a little bit. Our first field trip every year in the fall is to go to the beach because it's still warm enough to go. And everybody's back in school. Yeah. And so we always tell the kids, it's our first, all the public school kids are back in school, and they all cheer, which is probably not great for the poor public school kids who we love. But
the beach is empty.
But the beach is empty, and we just 100 of us spread out and have like a picnic, and it's our thing. Like this, where can you go where you don't go during the summer because it's super crowded? Museums, parks, beaches,
Correct.
All those places.
Yeah, museums the first week of school are barren.
Yes, they're great places to go. So you can throw an event like that in. Everybody come here, meet, hang out, keep it casual. Those are all really good ideas to get everybody kind of bonded and ready for the back to homeschool year that you're approaching on. Now, that being said, those are all fun. But if I'm going to have a good time, I want to plan things. Because I'm like the type A personality that's like, what does the year look like? I want to have it mapped out September through June. Jen's shaking her head at me in disgust.
I'm the opposite of that, so I'm...
You don't want to plan it out?
Well, I want to know what's happening in theory, just... I don't know. I don't like doing the planning myself. If somebody else plans it, just tells me what I'm doing. That's even better.
Yeah, that's why we work.
Yeah. She tells me what to do, and it's okay.
The stress of... Yeah, so, it is important. Like, this is the time of year where... What field trips are we going on? And we don't do that all ourselves. We're like, does anybody want to plan a field trip to the corn maze? Because we live in New England and they do fall.
And you can usually guilt trip people into volunteering for that stuff.
Yeah, ask them in person. Yeah, what classes are we taking? Who wants to teach it? What are we doing for the holidays? How are we celebrating them? We have not always been great at this. We will be a week before a holiday and then we'll be like, should we be doing something for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, or like when we got the bagpipe player, 2 weeks after St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly.
He was wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just figuring out who's in charge of what for field trips, for classes. Are you bringing in new people to lead and help you?
Which is what we did.
We did, because we needed help. Are you going to be interacting with the greater homeschool community? In our state, they're having a homeschool conference in a couple weeks. And do we want to go as a co-op? And we don't. It's not that we don't. We've said this before. We have a long waiting list. We don't advertise. It's like, the members of ours will happily attend and chat about starting co-ops and things like that. But do you want to reach out to other homeschoolers? Do you want to have events for other homeschoolers outside of your group or your social circle?
If you're just starting, there's kind of great things to do.
Yeah.
But we're so established at this point that we do not need to advertise.
Right. But I do think it's important at this time of year to reach out. If you are not or you're looking, to just kind of reach out. Community service, community outreach. Are you going to do that? That's an important part of our group. There's a bigger part of the other groups too, where they do a lot of community service projects. Like, what are you planning for the year? Budgeting. Like, how much, what do we want to do? Do we have the money to do it?
Yeah. Can we throw this awesome dance at the end of the year?
Right.
Or whatever.
What do we need to charge to do that? Do we have to charge anything? Do we have the funds to cover financial aid for families that need it? That's all. We do that at this time of year. And then fundraising, which we are inching towards.
We're trying to. It's a scandalous topic sometimes.
Yeah.
People get a little saucy about it.
It's a hard time of life in this economy to fundraise.
Sure.
I get that. So I get it. But I think, we are in a situation where we have to do it to do some things that we really want to do with our kids.
Yeah, we want to do this, get these Lego robotic kits, and each one of the kits is $400 and some odd dollars.
Right, and we have a dozen kids that really want to compete.
Yeah, yes, we could probably one for the whole group, but that's lame.
Right. And so, yeah, so we're talking about those kinds of things. And this is definitely not Jen's bag or mine. We're not like the fundraising queens.
We have a person for that.
Yeah, but we have another leader who's way better at that. And so they're talking about that. So those are the kinds of things you want to start thinking about this year, like classes, budgets, field trips, holidays. Who's going to come on and lead the homeschool group? How are we going to talk to other homeschoolers about our group? And then you have to be gentle because you're throwing a lot of things at people right now, especially if they're new. They've never done this before. And now we're asking you to contribute to a community.
Yeah.
So allow time for adjustment. It takes some time. Also remember that if we've done it like this before, people will get back into the rhythm. Consistency is really important. And that is really helpful. And then generally, I think we have to allow a window for people to get into this and go, too much.
Yeah, and it happens.
It does.
Usually after the first day, they're like, this is not what I thought it was.
Right.
There's a lot more people than I thought there was going to be.
Right.
A lot more structure.
Right, or not enough structure.
Yeah.
We sometimes get the, it's just art and music, and we're like, yeah, and they're like, oh, I was looking for something else. So I think that's important. I think you have to accept there will be losses within the first 2 weeks, like Jen said. After the first week, there'll be losses, and people are going to realize this wasn't for them. And sometimes it's just like, whoa, I bit off way more than I can chew. I have little kids.
It's so much commitment.
Yeah. And to kind of figure out what you do when that happens. I mean, they're going to go, I can't hold them against their will.
Yeah. But we also can't refund them, because we already paid for the supplies and that kind of thing. So
we do have that policy in place. So that has not gotten us in trouble. The question then becomes, do we offer those spots to somebody else, or are we too far gone into the year?
Yeah. So last semester we were able to welcome in a family halfway through the semester because they said, we do not care if anything opens up, even if it's halfway through. I will go in and I will pay.
Right. They were the family that was right before the cutoff of co-op. Like they would have gone in next if somebody hadn't taken the last spot.
Yes.
And so she told us and we let her in. But we don't always do that because some people are like, it's going, contact me in the next session.
It was just, we knew her.
Right. We knew, and we'd had conversations with her. Yeah, so you have to allow for that adjustment period. And it's hard. Sometimes for yourself too. Number one tip, if you are getting back into the homeschool groove, you are getting back into a big homeschool community, group, co-op, whatever it is, don't make dinner the night that you go back. It's like,
you always think you're just going to go home and just cook, but go home and cry on your couch for an hour.
Yeah. You'll just be so exhausted. Your feet will hurt.
Yeah.
So bad.
And then a lot of times we go to the playground. Yeah. And we were there till 6 o'clock sometimes. So there's times we left because it was getting dark.
Yeah.
And we're we need to all shut up and go home.
Yeah. And then kids are hungry. Mm-hmm. So that's what we tell all the new people. This is, if you have the money to order pizza, order pizza.
Or stop at Stop and Shop on the way home, get something easy.
Yeah. Or do it that morning if you really are set on eating your own food. Yeah. Put it in the crock pot. Yeah. Because let me tell you what.
Yeah.
No one's cooking anything. I have yet to track down who this was. I thought it was somebody, and I asked her if it was her, and she said it wasn't. Years ago, somebody said to me, when I set up my kids' homeschool for the year, I had grand plans that after co-op, in the afternoons on Fridays, we were going to come home and do like one subject. She's like, and that lasted a week.
Oh, I can't even imagine doing that.
So you have to allow yourself to just be like, order a pizza and do nothing when you get home.
Yeah, we do nothing on Fridays other than co-op. We don't do schoolwork. We're a co-op from me.
It's like
personally,
it's like a 9-hour day.
Yeah.
Well, this year I have to do karate.
Oh, lame.
Until soccer season is over, I have 2 kids who are going to have to take karate on Friday nights.
Well, at least it gets you out of the park early. Because that's
Not really. Classes don't start till 5:30.
Oh, so you're going to be at the park till 5?
Well, what I'm going to have to do is go home and get a dinner. Although I shouldn't do this, but next door to the karate dojo is a pizza place on one side and Chinese takeout on the other.
That sounds like a plan.
And it's like, okay, whatever kids are not karateing will be in the car eating their takeout, which is a horribly expensive habit to get into. And I wouldn't need but sometimes my husband is working, and so
I know. The only thing on the way to our karate is like a Taco Bell, which I'm not doing that to my child before karate. It sounds like a mess.
Or the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, so I did have that thought. I thought, well, I could just, it's 2.5 hours of karate on Friday night.
Yeah.
Order a pizza, which I can't eat myself, but my kids can eat.
You're going to be real tempted if there's a pizza sitting in your car for 2.5 hours.
I'm going to get a salad. It's a nice pizza place.
Ugh. Nothing worse than the pizza place salad.
No, this is a nicer. It's not like takeout. It's not like I don't want to get
lettuce.
I don't want to get slandered by it. I don't want to get accused of slander by a pizza. It's not like pizza chains that shall remain unnamed. It's decent, but that also means it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yes, those are the rules. Allow adjustment. Be gentle to yourself. It's going to be a stimulating experience. So maybe the day after co-op, don't do anything. Or the night, like Jen said. No one does anything. They don't even talk to each other.
Yeah, I try. My son's real talkative after co-op.
Let's tell you all the things he learned.
Please stop.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear how you're getting back into your homeschool. You can find us at Instagram, Facebook, or at thevillagehomeschoolers@gmail.com. And thanks so much for listening. We'll be back soon.